Welcome back to A Year of Final Fantasy, and we are in the month of Ifrit, and we're still in the middle of our Final Fantasy VII Compilation Extravaganza, and this time we're going to talk about the Japanese-only game Before Crisis, which is itself a prequel to Final Fantasy VII proper. This takes place 6 years before Final Fantasy VII, and while Crisis Core, the PSP game that we talked about, takes place about 7 years before the proper game, you can imagine this one running concurrent with Crisis Core, as well as just being a prequel to the regular game, although you don't really have to play Crisis Core to get the full story of Before Crisis. Before Crisis was released, like I said, only in Japan on September 24th, 2004 on mobile platforms, and this is way before any kind of iOS or Android devices, so it's really kind of a unique step for Square, like we talked about last time with the Dirge of Cerberus The Lost episode. And when this released on mobile platforms, it was by the company FOMA, F-O-M-A, and it was later re-released on different mobile platforms by SoftBank on January 30th, 2007, and on an Easy Web service on April 5th of 2007 as well, and that Easy Web service has provided Square a lot of other mobile types of episodic games that we've talked about before, so you may remember that. Originally, this game was slated to come out in the US following E3 announcement in 2006, but that really never materialized for one reason or another, probably due to how the game was released episodically, similar to maybe Final Fantasy IV the After Years. And I think the reason for them not releasing it because it was episodic is that the iOS was still just incredibly new, really getting its feet firm on the ground, and 2006 Android was basically still in its infancy. So Before Crisis itself was focused around the Turks and was a 2D action game in a side-scrolling kind of format. Since it was 2D, it was sprite-based. The sprites actually, I gotta say, don't look incredibly good, but this is one of the earlier mobile games for honestly anything, so it's to be expected. Before that we had, Snake and if y'all remember Snake on the flip phones. Anyway, the game had some really interesting concepts though, taking advantage of the internet and its mobile nature. And like I said earlier, the game was released in an episodic format. It had a lifetime of about 25 episodes, which is a lot more than, say, Final Fantasy IV, although these episodes were much shorter than those. But let's really talk about some of those interesting ways that this game took advantage of the mobile experience and being on the internet. One of my just favorite things to think about is that there was a materia generation system which allowed you to get materia by taking pictures with your camera on your phone. In the game, Before Crisis would analyze those pictures and create materia from the color codes and lightness of the pictures. For example, maybe the redder a picture may have been would give you, let's say, a fire materia, or a bluer picture may give you a cure materia, although the blue materia itself is a supplemental materia in the regular Final Fantasy VII game. We see that the materia in these other offshoots don't necessarily follow those rules. But anyway, there were a lot of factors that went into figuring out what kind of materia you got, which was, like I said, color and lighting amongst other things. I just think it's a really cool idea and a really unique way of integrating what would be on a mobile phone into the game itself. There was also a rudimentary multiplayer system as well via this ad hoc online with the people around you. It would allow you to summon friends to aid you in casting spells and stuff. Up to 3 players could team up at any given time, again, assuming they were near you. I don't think this had a full worldwide internet kind of play, but it's something better than nothing. And of course, the other features were the materia generation as well as materia trading via email, which is another thing that I thought was really cool to implement, especially given this mobile device. So during the game's life, many aspects were added alongside these story episodes, such as the battle square, which I assume is kind of similar to the golden saucer in Final Fantasy VII, as well as giving you an easy and a hard mode and just a bunch of different, little things like that they didn't necessarily have to do, but they really looked like they put their all into this game. It's really an impressive effort, especially for a very early mobile game, and in this period of mobile games, it was truly the Wild West, as there had been no standard that was established, and I kind of wish that more games would use this as a template for mobile games, but right now, alas, that isn't really the way of mobile games in 2017 with just them shoving microtransactions down our throats, but obviously it's just a business standpoint now. Anyway, Before Crisis is an interesting first plunge into mobile game by Square Enix. This was their real first attempt at a truly big mobile game that wasn't just kind of like an offshoot, and it's a shame that it didn't come out to the States properly, but I imagine there are still ways to play it, and I'm not going to go into that. I'll just leave that right there. So that's all for Before Crisis. There's some really interesting concepts here that I think are just to be applauded by Square Enix, trying to incorporate really what is essential to the mobile experience, your phone, your email, all of that. And with that said, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and next time we're going to be talking about one of my favorite Final Fantasy things ever, and I'm dying to get into that, but I'll leave you with anticipation of what that might be, and I'm probably sure you can guess what it is. But anyway, again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this, I'd love a like, maybe a sub if you haven't done so, maybe share it around. That's probably the best thing you could possibly do. But until next time, Crystal Warriors, keep on gaming.